please.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Truth and Rhythm. Brought to you by funkandstuff.net, this is the interview show that gets deep in the pocket with contemporary music's foremost masters of the groove. I am your host, Scott Dr. GX Goldfine, musicologist, creative arts journalist, and multimedia pro. Whether you're watching the video version of this show or the audio-only podcast version, I thank you so much for your continued interest and support in this show. If you enjoy this programming, there are several ways to help support Truth and Rhythm, as well as contribute to further enhancements and expansion, plus get some sweet perks and rewards in the process. First, subscribe to the Funk and Stuff channel on YouTube, which is where Truth and Rhythm lives, and be an advocate by spreading the word among fellow funk, jazz, and R&B music lovers. Second, join Truth and Rhythm's new membership program through Patreon, which features 3 tiers for truth believers, truth seekers, and truth crusaders. You can also submit a direct donation to the cause anytime at funkandstuff.net. At that site, which is loaded with awesome content, you can also purchase the book Everything's on the One, The First Guide of Funk, shop for official Truth and Rhythm and Funk and Stuff merchandise, and use the Amazon links for all of your online purchases, which allocates a percentage to this show. Sponsorship opportunities are available as well. Contact me directly at scottg@funkandstuff.net. For those of you who go the extra step in supporting the show, you have my heartfelt gratitude for allowing us to continue to shine the light on those special artists whose quest is to find truth in rhythm.
I'm delighted to welcome to the Truth and Rhythm Mothership singer Melba Moore, an iconic entertainer who has left a lasting imprint as a recording artist, a Broadway performer, and in television and film. First gaining acclaim in the late 1960s in the original stage cast of the rock musical Hair, she released her first album in 1970. From 1976 through 1990, her vocal talent and style carried 7 albums into the top 40 of the R&B charts, and she notched more than 20 top R&B singles, including the #1 hits, A Little Bit More with Freddie Jackson and Falling. And she's not done yet, not by a long shot. Teaming up with her daughter, Charli Huggins, she has a new album out called Imagine, where she continues to share her gifts. Melba, it's such an honor to have you on the program. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Where are you today, Melba?
Sherry, I'm a Jersey girl right now, West New York, New Jersey.
Okay.
Which is really like being in New York.
Yeah.
Do you know this part of Jersey?
What town?
West New York, New Jersey.
Are you across the river there, or where's that about?
Well, across the river from where? Where are you?
Well, I'm in Charlotte.
Oh, you down south.
That's right. Yeah,
Well,
it's 97 degrees today.
Oh, okay. We're a little cooler up here today. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we're in the 60s or the 70s. We got a little cooler. Yeah, no, I'm right across I'm right on the Hudson River on the Jersey side.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I've stayed in Hoboken and those areas. So yeah.
Yeah.
I love the view of the city you get from over there.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's the only way to see that skyline.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, thank you for doing this. I'm going to jump right in, make the most of our time.
Okay.
I want to take you back quite a bit. We'll try to do a little chronological thing here.
Okay.
And, Hair is a show that you got your start with. And when I was a kid, my mom had the soundtrack and I loved the music and I kind of grew up with that a little bit. So I wanted to know, what was that experience like for you and what did you take from it as you moved forward?
Oh, it was quite amazing because I seemed to be the right place at the right time. wasn't planning, didn't know how to plan to be an actor or on the theatrical stage. Matter of fact, I was a school teacher. But I was trying to get into the industry, and I met Valerie Simpson, who got me involved with the studio backup singing. And one of the recording sessions was for Jim Rado and Jerry Ragney and Galt McDermott, who wrote the book and the music for the Broadway musical Hair, and they were still casting. And only place I had seen hippies was on TV until they came into the studio. Well, Galt was very, very straight-laced. He was not a hippie. But Jim and Jerry were. And I think Jim Rado, I don't think he had any shoes on. And we were in New York City in the studio. So it was really quite exciting, I'll put it that way.
A whole new world, right? Whole new world.
A new planet, yeah. And they created new rules, broke all the old rules as far as theater was concerned. They were the first rock musical. And of course, if you were Black, you did R&B, you didn't do rock. So they broke all the color lines. They broke all the gender lines. A Black woman played Abraham Lincoln in a parody doing the Gettysburg Address. So it was a wonderful experiment in theater, in humanity, in the arts, in Broadway, and in my life.
Yeah, wow. It was groundbreaking for sure. And what you did with it was groundbreaking. So your debut came out in 1970 on the recording side of things. How did you feel about your first record when you finally got in a studio and you made a record? And, how did you feel about how it was received? And what was your mindset at that point?
Well, it's all been a process for me. I'm not sure I can tell you how I first felt about the first record. It's been such a process, and it's been such a gradual process. I started as a vocal music teacher in the public schools, and then kind of went into studio work, and then got into Broadway, and wound up doing the lead in the Broadway show Hair, and becoming the first Black woman to replace a white lady in a lead role on Broadway. So these were groundbreaking things to me too, all along with trying to become an artist. So it's kind of hard for me to just isolate and say, how did I feel about that one little, not one little, I'm getting ready to say little thing. It's not little. But so you ask a question that I don't know if I could really answer it, how I felt first. But there's so many things to go back and try to remember.
Fair enough. Let me ask you this. You got eventually on Buddha Records, and fans of the show, they definitely said, when they knew you were coming on, they want to know some about your period at Buddha Records.
Sure.
And Peach Melba was, very hotly received record. Yes. And actually, before that, I know actually on that, that record, Peach Melba, great album. I mean, tracks like Must Be Dues, really, great straight up R&B, and what a great band you had.
Well, it was Gene McDaniels. He was the songwriter, producer, and I guess the executive producer of that album. So he spearheaded it, and he was helping me to try to find my place in recorded music, try to find out what my style was and where could I fit. And of course, I remember Peach Melba album very, very well because I was in love with my then husband. Things were going really nicely then. And of course, he was helping me to find a management team to spearhead my career in my life. So I remember that very, very well. And the music that we recorded was recorded at Gene McDaniels' home on the West Coast. He lived like on the Pacific Coast Highway, not on the highway, but really near the Pacific Ocean and in the mountains. And so it was very kind of like heavenly. It felt like you were new, like you were experiencing life afresh and new in a different way. And I feel like the album still sounds like that.
Yeah, well, I'm from Los Angeles originally, so I know that area very well. Grew up in Santa Monica, so not too
Oh, I
far
love
from what you're
Santa
saying.
Monica.
Yeah.
You know, I saw a UFO there.
No way.
Yeah, down on the Santa Monica beach. Not on the beach, in the sky. But I don't know, maybe artistic people are given to heavenly thoughts and imaginings and things like that. And that's kind of how we are. So we feel in a way that we're not better. I don't mean it that way, but in a higher place somehow, spiritually. We're always looking at things in kind of an artistic and spiritual way. And that part of Los Angeles, to me, is very kind of magical. Yeah, to ride up that coastline all the way up there. I can't remember I haven't been out there in so long, some of the areas that are up there. But to drive up that, up northwards, going up toward, I guess, Seattle and Washington, if you were going to go as far north in America as you could, go up the Pacific Highway, is quite an amazing trip. And to record your music out there, and you have your first real R&B recording up there, it's just part of a uplifting, incredible feeling that lets me know I have an incredible life, and that's been part of it, and trying to find my voice, having all these incredible songwriters and producers, and now I'm famous. Oh my goodness. Starting to do television and had those experiences, and now to have you ask me to remember it, I can say it was great and everything, but it was really kind of magical.
Yeah. Who are a couple of your favorite singers back then that you really looked up to or influenced you?
Oh, of course, Aretha Franklin. And my little voice could never sound like hers because I wanted a big voice and I wanted to sing gospel like every great Black singer. But we had other great singers too. Didn't we have people like Peggy Lee? Didn't we have people like Dinah Shore? Didn't we had, I'm not going to be able to remember them all because it's just too far back for me to remember all those. But we're America. We are multicultural. That's what strikes me. I'm a Black person, of course, and I'm going to want to sing disco and R&B music. But we also had Frank Sinatra. We had, I can't think of, some of the, we had Harry Belafonte. We had his daughter, Sherry Belafonte. Mm-hmm. I can't remember them all because my parents were musicians. So I know people like Sarah Vaughan and Ella Fitzgerald. And I'm mentioning some of those because, you're never going to forget those, but there are so many.
Yeah.
So many. And some of them maybe only had one hit. And, they may be considered fly-by-nighters, but when I think about the culture, we have so much fun music, good music, diverse music. And then you also have, if you want it, classical music. And I've been classically trained. I was familiar with whoever was popular in opera at the time. I can't remember who the people are now because my focus has been on something else for so long. And I'm quite a bit older now. A long time ago. But I do want to say that we still have so much diversity because we're American. It's the way we are here.
Absolutely. And it was just a year later about when you hit it, you finally got your hit song with This Is It, and not to be confused with the Kenny Loggins song that came later. But how did it feel to finally get over with a hit for yourself?
Oh, that was just fun, to turn on the radio and hear your music. And it's a dance song, so it's joyful, and you can dance in the car. And and you're young, and you're got the energy and the right frame of mind to just enjoy the whole aspect of it, and scream and yell because it's your record. And just really, really, really enjoy it. Yeah.
Do you have any memories of Van McCoy?
Oh, because he was a consummate musician. I know he hated saxophones. I know that. He liked oboes. And when I asked him to please do kind of my routine of Lean on Me, and reminded him that he had written it for either Vivian Reed or Aretha Franklin, but that I had a version that I wanted to sing because it could help me develop or express my style that was starting to come. And he agreed to it. I knew he was a really nice person. He was not an egotistical person. He was not a selfish person. And he's an incredible musician. And of course, for those who don't know, he ushered in the new dance era of America called disco with the hustle. And actually, I think he did it from Germany. I don't even think it was released here first. So he was probably among the first Americans to have dance music global and maybe lay the groundwork for what we have now is such a variety of all kinds of dance music all over the world, and especially in the UK.
And you mentioned Lean on Me, man, what a great gospel-y type performance that is. And, how many takes did it take for you to hit that one extended note?
The note is easy. Because that's what I do. And I was trying to find a song constructed so I could do that. So it didn't take me any times to do that. I don't remember how many times it might have taken me to do other aspects that, to the listener sound very, very simple and easy, but maybe you didn't capture the expression or the, the emotion that you wanted to in the first or second take. So you do several takes until you get it right. But the big, high, long notes, those are easy. Well, I mean, for me.
Yeah, right. Easy for you. But, that's one of the distinctive characteristics of your vocals, or being able to hold those kind of notes and also the octave range, I would say.
Right.
Yeah. So at that point, when you became famous as a recording artist in the 70s, were you out doing a lot of, tours at that point, and I know you were making TV appearances, but did you go out with some of the other top acts of the day and perform concert tours?
I did with other concert artists. I was also, because of the Tony Award and my success coming from theater, able to work the best supper clubs like the Palmer House in Chicago and the Waldorf in New York City. Wow. The supper clubs. I mean, they're so fancy. There were all kinds of venues to be worked. We had big outdoor concerts and festivals as well. And there were the jazz festivals. I mean, they still are. And then there were places like Blues Alley, small clubs. So that's what I love about America. We have such a diversity of types of venues. And then there are like certain places. Well, different places have different audiences. So that's what I think allowed me to develop diversity. Different audiences want to hear different things. So you create different shows for each audience.
Did you, and do you still, but how do you feel about performing on stage versus in a studio? What gives you the most joy?
Oh, I don't compare them like that because studio performance is absolutely totally different. First of all, if you're recording, it's very, 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 very technical. So you have to pay attention in a different way. When I say technical, it doesn't matter what you look like. You can come in rags. It's okay. No makeup,
No barefoot, like you said earlier.
Right. You don't even have to wear shoes. But even if you're just recording visually, somebody's going to see it. So that's already different. And if you're going to perform it in front, like for instance, you don't want people in the studio when you're recording because they're going to hear your mistakes. So you don't have to, I don't have people in the studio when I'm working because I want to be able to focus, think about that. Because I'm going to be distracted. I'm going to be concerned about not pleasing whoever is there. I'm going to turn into, they're going to be my audience. They may not want to do that or mean that. They just want to be there. But you can't think like that. You have to think about who's there. They're the other part of your life and your work. So I love studio recording because then you can just totally let your mind go to the music part of it. And I love the music part of it. I absolutely adore that. I could, just spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours going over and because one of the things I noticed, I'm kind of a slow study. And so like the more I sing something, actually, the stronger and the better it gets. It's like going to the gym. So I don't mind that at all. I just have to make sure that I'm working with somebody who doesn't think I have to do it in one take, or, they're tired of being in the studio. They have to be patient and, kind of take it slowly with me because I seem to be kind of a slow study. But I love studio work, but it's totally, totally, totally different than performing from somebody in a live concert. Because all of a sudden, first of all, I had to get everything ready physically for myself, not just the way you look, but everything in tune. Like you were going to ride a bike and make sure there's air in the tire, make sure the brakes work, or if it's a car, everything that works before you get there. You can't warm up on them. At least I don't. My eyeballs are getting big already, right? Because I'm so impressionable. I'm so affected by other people. And I'm glad of that. It's not always very comfortable, especially if things are not going the way you want them to go, and you have to fix it and make sure that it's going to be all right. But it makes you, I think, focus and rehearse and prepare yourself before you get there so that you can enjoy it. I'm not going to enjoy it if I could have warmed up or I could have done something to prepare. And when I get there, I'm not going to be able to do a good show because I didn't prepare right. I'm not going to enjoy it at all. And maybe everybody else thought it was great, but if I know there's something I could have done better, I won't enjoy it. So I don't know. I think in a way, the same thing is true of recording. You make sure you know the song, all the different aspects of it. If we have to break it down and take it in sections, you make sure that you're in good vocal health and that you have the right things to eat and to drink to keep sustaining yourself, because you got to take like maybe one part of a muscle and use it over and over and over and over and over and over and over. It can't wear it out. It has to get stronger from you doing that. So that's a little bit of an insight into how I look at things. I can't say, okay, I like this better than, no, I can't choose like that. It's like your children. You can't choose between them.
Right. Yeah, no, I can appreciate that. I do think, though, that starting out on the stage for, like hair and things like that must have made it an easier transition to perform your music on stage as opposed to people that haven't had that background before getting into recording.
Absolutely, because I think I'm sure what happened by my having the opportunity to get on the stage in the stage play of Hair, I had the wonderful director, Tom O'Horgan, telling me, which is stage left, which is stage right, which is downstage, how not to upstage someone else if you're on with an ensemble, how to project where to go to do certain aspects of what you're doing, so that you realize the story that your body is telling. That normally, if you're just thinking about the singing, you don't know what your body is saying. You don't know how to engage it for the song. I'm much, 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 much more aware, not just only of standing up tall and everything, but if the song is a sad song or whatever, to express that, not to just separate and just do it musically, to tell the story with the body as well as the song. That has come from having good directors, like my director in Pearly, Philip Rose. And I remember him reminding me to stay in character, because she was a Southern character. And because I'm from New York City, right? And if you haven't gotten used to it, been trained to stay in the character or the person that you're in, and you're just up there and you're just talented, but you don't have any discipline or no experience, you'll slip back into yourself. Or you can. And so to remember, oh, no, that's not who I am right now. That's not who I am right now. And keep doing it, come back, and work on the stage with seasoned actors who maybe they're not singers, they're actors. So they approach it slightly differently, and you learn from them oh, this is how you think about that. And then when you're with them, you're with them, in the dialogue as that person playing opposite them. And so you see how it is, like I'm talking to you now, but you see how it is on the stage. It's very different. And then, you have to remember, you still have that responsibility when you're on the stage singing a song and you don't have a dialogue, you don't have a director, nobody's telling you to do anything, you do anything you want to. Then you have to remind yourself to be disciplined, stand up nicely. People are looking at you. You have to fuss at yourself. But you wouldn't have that to tell yourself if you didn't have people teach you that. And sometimes, you're having such a good time, you forget, people taught you this. Remember that, and go back to it and then pass it on to somebody else.
Yeah. Melba, you left Buddha, you went to Epic, and you had another hit with You Stepped Into My Life, and working with McFadden and Whitehead and those guys. Mm-hmm. What was that like? Is there anything you can share with viewers about that experience?
Well, my then husband was responsible for that. His name is Charli Huggins. I got to say thank you to him, not only for loving me and taking care of me, but really becoming my personal manager and spearheading the business aspect of my life, because I didn't have any background in the business aspect of it. And somebody has to make the deals. You even have to have some kind of wisdom to pick and find a manager. That was the first challenge we had to try to find a manager. We weren't able to find one because most of the managers that would have been great for us for recording had never managed anybody who had done theater. And they thought, well, if you were Broadway, you're not going to really fit in R&B recorded music, because nobody really had done it before. And I would say that the way that we went was marvelous, because what my then husband did was ask people around, well, how do you do this? How do you do that? He got a lot of good counsel. He went to, for instance, he went to many, but he went to Philly International with Gamble and Huff, and had lots of meetings with them until eventually he kind of borrowed Gene McFadden and John Whitehead. Mm-hmm. And spent a lot of time with them and seeing what they felt was a good direction to try to start to take me in for music. And they wrote and produced many, many wonderful songs for me, like I Don't Know No One Else to Turn To, a beautiful ballad, Standing Right Here, wonderful dance classic has become for me. They took the Bee Gees song, You Stepped Into My Life, and did such an incredible arrangement. It's still a hit, You Stepped Into My Life. But it's that Philly International funk and feel with that Bee Gees genius construction of the song. And then they tailor-made it for my little voice so I could fit into disco. So, and they've created quality music. They've created music that has lasted and music that I can still build on. So they've given me a life in this industry, McFadden and Whitehead. Well, they've been part of, helping me to build a life in this industry.
Was there any point where you felt like you were being pushed maybe out of your comfort zone and you had to kind of like challenge yourself?
I was never in a comfort zone. Because regardless of what I was trying, it was always new. And I would have to go and do a song or do a recording. We'd have to test it on people of whether or not they were going to buy it. And then could I perform it live? Because like in the studio, you can get a chance to take one section of it over and over and over and over. When it's live, you have to put it all together and be able to strengthen all the different areas of your voice so that you can do that. Plus you walk into somebody's air conditioning or whatever it is, it's like, okay, now go perform on the moon. Let me see you do that. To find out if it's going to stand up or not. So when I tell you that I'm excited about looking back on it to see what we have, that's the only way I think you can really assess that you've got something good after it's all over. It's too late if it's not, So there's never like really a comfort zone. And by the time you get comfortable with that, for most of us in the recording industry, it's time for you to try to put something else out and find out what that's going to do and test it again.
Well, your own personal preference, did you prefer doing more down-tempo material or did you like the dance material?
I think I do ballads better, but you can't have a whole evening of ballads. You can't have a whole recording of ballads. You have to have diversity. You have to have variety. And then at a certain point, if you have a lot of songs that are successful, you're going to have to break them up either with other people's music or with other songs of yours. And if you have a career like Frank Sinatra, you can do one song, it's okay. But if your career hasn't been that successful, you're going to have to try to get some success with some diversity in music so that when you do your show, it can be diverse enough to keep people's interest. It has to vary. So there's some people who can, there are some people who can just sing one type of music and their audience is happy and nobody's bored. But I find that I need to have a little bit of diversity.
There's much more to this great Truth and Rhythm interview. Just continue on to the next part of the episode. Also be sure to subscribe to this channel. If you've already done so, please share it with friends. And become a member by joining Truth and Rhythm on Patreon or consider donating at funkinstuff.net. Thank you very much.